Hello and welcome to The Stinger, a superfan's guide to Marvel, Star Wars, and much more in fandom. I'm Josh Gann. With me today, as always, is our co-host Trent Neely. Trent, how we doing today?
We're doing great. It's draft day. Draft days are beautiful days, people.
Yes, they are, and they're special, and they're even more special today because if you're watching on video, you can probably tell. Special guest in the room with me today. We are bringing back on the podcast Zach Goolsby himself. Zach, how are we doing today?
I'm a little sick, but I'm here to play. So I had hot tea for the first time, so I'm excited.
He's really growing up before our eyes.
We're doing great.
Zach's kind of like that prospect that you take in the second or third round. That you're just like he's got all the raw talent there.
Exactly.
He's just got to put the intangibles together.
People have compared me to Nikola Jokic, so it's like I'm ready to play.
We're glad to have you here, rain or shine, like 100%, or I don't know what you're feeling today.
I'll say a solid 68.
Okay, yeah. You see, we don't do load management on this podcast.
No, we do not.
You know, you show up ready to go. So. Thank you all for being here. As always, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. And then you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Stinger Pod. All right. So I don't know if y'all heard, but football is back.
Woo.
Football is back. As we're recording, a bunch of college football games are happening in week 1, college football. And then, and when this gets posted, it'll be week 1 of the NFL season. So, we thought today would be a good opportunity to highlight sports in general in movies, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But in some way, all three of us are sports fans in some way. So I thought, it might be a good opportunity because we don't talk about sports on this podcast. That's not what this is.
What?
How did we all stumble our way into sports fandom? Because we're fans of Marvel and Star Wars and stuff, but we're also fans of sports. So Trent, you have a story for us or a core memory for us.
Yeah. I mean, sports been always a thing, especially my dad traveled a lot for work growing up. So it was always the thing of like Sunday was like the day off. And so football watching in general was a big deal for that. But yeah, I actually was at the Redskins or Commanders game now, where RG3 got injured and the Kirk Cousins reign officially took over. It was against the Baltimore Ravens. RG3 had that leg brace going, and you're like, oh, he's looking a little injured. Should he have played this game? I don't know. And then sadly he went down, and that was sort of the end of his main career phase. And then the Cousins show from then on. But yeah, it was wild to be in person for that. You don't think you're going to see the end of a Heisman winner's professional career, basically.
And he was. Did that happen during his rookie season?
No.
Or was it after?
It was a second, because his rookie season was like incredible, and then
right,
and then he was like having injury issues throughout the second year, and then this injury happened at the end of that year, and that was it.
Go ahead, Zach.
Because I know he won Offensive Rookie of the Year, first thing,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like the future of the Redskins.
Yeah.
No, people kind of forget how good his first year was because of everything that happened later. But his first year, he was great. It was like, oh, he actually is going to save the franchise. Like,
it was one of those things where like the NFL is very much a copycat league, and so once someone like finds a way to unleash one of these like super athletic quarterbacks, it's like everyone else has to hop on the bandwagon. So RG3 was really like people wanted to copy what at the time the Redskins were doing with RG3, and they had Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay and like that crazy Murderers Row coaching staff there. So it was a special time.
I was going to say, Haley, your wife, my sister, has met RG3.
That's right. That's right. Are you going to tell her story on this podcast?
I'll tell her story. I wasn't there, but I thought it was funny because I think she was doing cartwheels or handstands, and she major flop. And there's someone laughing, and it turns out it was RG3.
Yeah.
Again, I wasn't there, but I just thought of this story, and I just thought it was super funny. That's all. Love you, Haley.
So we're gonna have to get that one. We're gonna need to get that story approved first before it hits the podcast.
She'll
We'll see.
love it.
We'll see if this stays in. We'll see at the end of the podcast if this
I'll
stays
always
in.
know forever now.
Yeah, exactly. We'll always
I will
know.
say RG3 is still not retired from.
He's not retired?
No, he's still like eligible. He's never officially retired, so he can come back any day.
Okay.
Ooh, that'd be amazing if like
From-
RG3 was just like, all right, enough of these young kids. Like, let me get the pads back on.
Done with these posers,
These
Trey
hooligans.
Lance and Mac Jones.
Who's this
Although
Patrick Mahomes kid?
Although he's too busy being like the king of Twitter. Have you seen his tweets? Like he just roasts everybody now, and I think it's the best thing.
Honestly, his broadcasting career has really taken off. Like I think he's really talented at that. Like he should definitely stay in that.
He's so
in that
100%.
realm. He's really good. I'm gonna go to my story now, and there's not like a moment I feel like where I became a sports fan. It was just always there. Like my dad, huge sports fan. He spent a good portion of his childhood in Chicago. So you see me wearing the Cubs hat right now. And so I grew up really first it was the Bears, pulled for the Cubs early on, and then the Bulls. Those are really also spent some time really like getting invested in the Blackhawks Stanley Cup runs. So, there was definitely some highs growing up being a Chicago sports fan. The Blackhawks were great in the early 2010s. Obviously 2016, the Cubs going all the way will be cemented in my mind forever as one of the greatest moments in my life, but especially sports moments. Like that World Series run was special. I feel like my experience feels similar to yours, Trent, because first it was in terms of sports heartbreak. First it was the Super Bowl 41 going down to the Bears and Colts. Devin Hester returns the opening kickoff for a touchdown, and you think, this is it, baby. Bears are back. And then Peyton Manning proceeds to just obliterate us for the next 3 quarters. I remember I was in 4th grade during that Super Bowl, and once it was clear that it was over, because it ended pretty quick, like me and my brother respectively started sobbing on the 2 couches in our living room. It was an ugly sight. And then it probably things probably only got worse. This is truly the lowest moment of my sports fandom life, is me becoming a basketball fan, and that happened through the lens of watching Derrick Rose ascend to truly high heights as MVP of the league. This young point guard who could literally do anything athletically tears his ACL in the first round of the, I think, 2012 playoffs against the Sixers. And I've never felt my heart sunk watching a sports game like that, when the game was over. We had a 20-point lead on the Sixers, and then Derrick Rose still out there running, because we couldn't, God forbid we would sit him in a big lead, and then he tears his ACL and it's all over. So it was sometimes these injuries, they really crush you as a fan, because everything rides on one player, and that player's out, it just all falls to pieces so fast. So that's my life as a Chicago sports fan.
But hey, Justin Fields, this could be the year. People are very excited.
Man, people are. And on that note, people are a little too excited. I want all these media members to stop putting this outrageous pressure on Justin Fields to be the MVP and the Bears to win the division. We were the worst team in football last year, if everyone remembers. So let's just cool it a little bit. That would be great. Zachary.
Yeah.
What do you have for us? Because I know you.
Yeah.
You became a sports fan in recent years.
I was about to say, I think I'm the youngest I know I'm the youngest right now, but also I think I'm newer to sports in that type of stuff. Not saying a year, probably 5 years. So I grew up playing every sport under the book. I played at least 10 sports, and I'm not kidding. Excuse me, sorry, the burpees. And I wasn't really, how I say this, good at a lot of them, but I was a big fan of basketball and volleyball. A lot of it is because, another fun fact about me, I traveled a lot as a kid because Haley, again, your wife, my sister, was a a legit beast in volleyball. Like all like
state?
All state player, super good. So we traveled a lot, and I was always with like the other kids playing like weird games with volleyballs and all that stuff. But it really got me interested of like some sports can actually like be fun to watch. And I remember going to I don't know if I ever told you this, going to Globetrotters with my dad.
Oh my gosh.
And I got to see the Globetrotters. I'm like, wow.
Love the Globetrotters.
And I'm like, this is basketball. This is fun. And then I eventually, I'm going to praise you a little bit. When I found out Josh was a big basketball fan and started dating Haley, I'm like, I need to stir conversation up with this guy, because I came as a theater guy. I did improv, nothing athletic really. So I got into basketball watching him. And one of my favorite players, may his career rest in peace, James Harden.
It's not, his career is not over. Let's not talk about him.
You literally
like that.
said that yesterday.
I did not okay. say that.
You said you hated him.
He's still in the league.
He's my favorite player. It really got me like watching. Like, I'm a huge basketball fan now, and it sucks because everyone makes fun of me because I don't have a team. I just have players, and I just like to watch every like individual player play their best game, and that's what I'm just really fond of it. Of just seeing all these talents, and I love seeing defense. That really made me realize how much I love the defensive side of sports.
Yeah,
I've always been a defensive person. I've always wanted to play all the defensive parts, so I think it's really cool. I also am a big fan of what really got me into football. Was watching 2011 Super Bowl, Steelers versus Packers. That was the first ever Super Bowl I ever watched. Packers won. And I'm like, you know what? Let me get into this football thing. I know which team I'm going to be picking. And I picked the Packers, and I've stick with them the rest of their life. Because what is the win record between Packers and Bears? Is it good? Because like,
I don't want to answer this question, and then but I do want to ask. I'll answer that question with a question.
Sure.
Name one player on the Packers right now.
So what does this draft have to do? Like, how are we gonna do this?
Yeah, so honestly, I'm glad you brought up the Packers, because obviously Joseph isn't with us today, and I'm sure he would have a really great story about the Packers beating the Bears,
Aaron Rodgers,
to talk about on this podcast, and it would be great for him and sad for me. But the Packers are very real, and the Bears and Packers play week 1, so me and Joseph are going to be at each other's throats for the next week. So.
And me.
I'm not counting you. Go back to watching James Harden highlights.
I will, with a smile on my face.
All right. Well, now that you know the history on us as sports fans, I think we can move to our sports movie draft, because this is where the two arts collide, right? Because there are so many sports fans out there. Like, everyone has some kind of connection to sports. Like, to be able to capture it well in a movie is it's actually kind of hard to do. And like, with that being said, Trent, in a very brief way, like, what do you think makes a good sports movie?
I think the best sports movies explain not just why like a sport looks cool visually, in the film sets, but also like the best sports movies explain why we as humans love sports. I mean, let's not forget, people. Rocky won Best Picture, and it's like, I think if you said that to somebody,
I didn't know that.
If you said that to somebody now, they'd be like, "What, Rocky?" Out of like all the things in the 70s, and it's like, yeah, but that movie does such a good job of being like, yes, it's about boxing, but it's also about Philadelphia, right, and the underdog, and like the whole city running alongside him, and it's like that whole thing. And so I think the best sports movies speak to why sports matter to people.
That's true.
And I think that's what really separates the good sports movies from like the great ones.
Cool. I agree with you. I agree. And like, I didn't know Rocky won Best Picture. That's crazy. Either. Like, that's the perfect example. Rocky is the perfect example of movies that communicate something about the human experience and sports at the same time. So today, you probably want to know what are we doing in this draft. So we carved out some categories here for us today. We are going to be drafting, each of us respectively, a movie from the following categories. So we have football movies, we have basketball movies, baseball movies, and then we have like this hybrid category of like boxing / MMA. So in any kind of like, combat sport movie. Then we have 2 wildcard slots. We have 1 wildcard slot for a team sport. It could be one of the 3 that we already mentioned, or it could be a different sport like hockey or soccer or something like that. And then we have a second wildcard slot that will be for any individual sport. So it could be another boxing movie, or it could be golf. It could be a tennis movie. It could be a racing movie. It could be something from that genre. So those are the categories for today. Let's move now into finding our draft order. We're going to do this live on the podcast. We got a little like name generator here. Zachary.
Yes.
Why don't you go ahead and spin that wheel? Let's see who is going to have the first pick in our draft. Dramatic pause. How do I know if you're telling the truth right now? You going to hide the screen from me? Zach, no way. All right.
Oh.
Okay, buddy.
Do you want me to do the other ones right now? So
Yeah. We'll see who's going second.
All right. Place your bets. This isn't a gambling show.
Who we got? And then I will pick second.
Okay.
All right. So we have our order. It is going to be Zach,
awesome,
then myself,
awesome,
and then Trent. You are picking last. You said you didn't want first, Trent, so I'm glad this worked out for you.
Yeah, this works.
Can I specify? I know we talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
That we have to have seen the movie. Correct.
Yeah, correct.
Generally a good notion.
Because if you pick the movie and you can't talk about it, then I'm gonna question you.
I'm just telling you right now, MMA. That's gonna be a whole hard for me. Never seen Creed. Never seen Rocky. A lot of great ones there.
You are missing out on some pretty core movies, but you know what? As I was researching, like that's not everything.
Oh, I know.
There's some other stuff out there.
Mm-hmm. So I get to go first.
You get to go first. Yes. Okay. Why don't you, with the first pick in the sports movie draft, Zach Goolsby, you are now on the clock.
Thank you. I know we talked about off camera that football might be the hardest. Might have the least amount of like gems. Really good movies. Yeah. To me, this is the pinnacle, like poster boy of sports movies. Okay. This is not only how we talked about, like this is sports at its core, but it has issues of fighting against like segregation, fighting against like popularity. Mm-hmm. Not only does it have those core things, really great characters. Yeah. Denzel Washington as the head coach. I'm picking. This might not be anyone's surprise. One of the best movies of all time in sports. Best football movie, in my opinion. I am taking Remember the Titans.
Excellent pick.
I feel
it's a
like
great one.
It's so like people say it's the greatest sports movie of all time because not only does it have phenomenal acting with Denzel Washington, the other supporting characters, and also I'm just a big fan of like based on true stories and stuff like that. And this is based on true events. And I think it's super good because it's not a corny movie, right? No. It's a serious movie that a type of movie you would see and like you will watch in school. Yep. And for a good reason. So I feel like there's no arguments here of this going number one. Yep. If there are, let's freaking go.
No, Remember the Titans feels very worthy of the number one overall pick. In a sports movie draft.
Yeah, I mean the Gettysburg Address, or the Gettysburg speech alone, it's great. And let's not forget Ryan Gosling before he was Ken.
Ryan Gosling's in it too.
Before he was Ken, he was the most useless safety in the history of football.
But he had gorgeous hair. Can we just say
he did? I mean, listen, someone watched that movie and said like. That's the future Ken right there.
That's what NFL needs to get its eyes on.
So I love the pick, Zachary. All right, so that brings me up on the clock. I'm not gonna lie, Zachary. You taking Remember the Titans does like that struck off number one in my football category. So I was thinking like, do I go football here now since Zachary took off my favorite one? But I do feel good about. I feel good about what's left on my board football wise. I'm gonna go to a different category, one that I think another movie that I'm afraid would get snagged up before I pick next. And I am going to pick a more recent film. It is to me one of the greatest sports movies, and it's also a legacy sequel. And those do not always pan out well. But let me tell you, I believe it was 2015 when the movie Creed hit theaters.
Yeah. I knew it.
You didn't think they could like potentially improve off of the Rocky story. But when you bring back the character of Rocky and you introduce him to Apollo Creed's son, and you give him a chip on his shoulder and something to fight for, to like be this unknown fighter, to be the like true underdog that Rocky also was. And you know, Rocky embraced that in the city of Philadelphia, but now he's got to be a coach now. He's got to be a mentor. And you watch like Michael B. Jordan fully embrace this young and upcoming boxer that's trying to make a name for himself, even though he's carrying his father's name. It's just such a good movie. It's got some of the most like gut-wrenching scenes in the ring when you watch Michael B. Jordan get laid out and have to like claw his way off the mat. It's got an amazing score and some amazing needle drops as well. The Ludwig Göransson and Meek Mill on a track together, I'm just saying, it slaps.
It's so good.
Creed is my pick for the boxing category.
I'm so sad that you took it off, but I'm happy that somebody acknowledged it. I was like, yeah, Creed's great. This is my favorite movie still Ryan Coogler's ever done. Love both the Black Panthers, love Fruitvale Station, but I think this is the best movie, like top to bottom, he's ever done. In my household, people will tell you I'm still irrationally upset that Sylvester Stallone didn't win Best Supporting Actor that year for Creed.
He was nominated. Wow.
Yeah. And he's so good in that movie, like when he's going to Adrian's grave and like saying everything's broke and all that. Such a good movie. And that one take boxing scene where it's just the camera behind Adonis the whole fight.
Yes.
Like halfway through. Like, it's phenomenal.
Good.
It's phenomenal.
So good. Do you think? All right. Is it wild to take that above Rocky though?
So here's the thing. I saw Creed before I saw Rocky. So like
really?
my exposure to this vibe was through Creed.
Interesting.
It's not better, right? Like but it's as good. Like,
yeah,
because I think Rocky is also pretty much perfect, but like Creed has this whole other dimension because Rocky gets his own story, but also Adonis' story is so good. So it's the fact that you get two great stories as opposed to just one. I think for me that I watch Creed way more than Rocky, but yeah,
I love that
I'm
movie.
Sure some people would say yes, like this is insane.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna get some feedback for that one when this gets posted. But oh well, that's what I'm rocking with Creed. Okay, Trent, you're up next.
Yeah. So closing out the first round, and now that it's snakes, and I'm gonna have top of the second, I feel a little more comfortable too. So for closing out the first round, I think I gotta go just pedigree here. Gotta go with a baseball movie, but that's unlike any other baseball movie. I'm going with Brad Pitt's Moneyball. People.
Oh, dang it!
Yeah, it's so good.
That was
great
mine.
pick, incredible
That's a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, I like baseball. I'll go to a game anytime. I will rarely watch baseball on TV because I can't watch it on TV. But the way that this movie, pun intended, shows you the inside baseball of baseball. And shows you how like the player selection works, the ranking of players. It's just so good. This honestly might actually be my favorite Brad Pitt performance. He's so good as Billy Bean in this movie. And the scene where like Jonah Hill is explaining like people pass up on players for like a variety of biased reasons, like that whole montage is just like one of the best ever. The scene where Billy Bean's like making the trade deadline happen, and he's like trying to get the one like Benefro from the Reds, and then like he's like, oh, I'm gonna give it to the Giants, and it's like, wait, you just offered him to this guy, and they're like doing landline stuff. Everything about this movie, Like, I'm indifferent to baseball in real life, but yet by the end, when Brad Pitt's like, "How can you not be romantic about baseball?" I'm like, yes, it is the best thing ever.
I'm so upset.
Yeah, so Moneyball is my pick in the number 3.
That's a phenomenal pick. That's a phenomenal. That was my top baseball movie. It's such like you said, because like it does a weird take on baseball where it goes from the behind the scenes. And I didn't think a movie about numbers, about like like the process of drafting and stuff like that would be fun. But it was such an entertaining movie. Like you said, the performances of both Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. I think this is, in my personal opinion, like dramatic wise, I think this is Jonah Hill's best performance.
Yeah,
interesting.
I would say.
Yeah, I would put it up there. Yeah, I feel like this is one of the first movies that he shows up in a major way too.
I agree.
Yeah.
Gosh darn it.
Yeah, I love Moneyball. As you can tell, we were both angry. You took it off the board. It's so good. I
thought one of you might take it. Honestly, I was so scared.
I was gonna take it. I was gonna take it, but I thought maybe it could get. Nah. You snagged up a good one.
Really good.
Okay, so Trent, you get to go back to back. What you got for pick number 2?
All right, so I think for number 2, I got to go with one where it's a sport where I don't have a ton of movies that I love in the sport. So I got to go with my favorite here. I'm going with basketball, and I'm going with the underseen. Everybody's going to think it's one thing. I got to go with Coach Carter for
I know! No! That was my top basketball. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but it's too good. Everybody loves Hoosiers, and I get it. Like, Hoosiers is great, but like there's something about Samuel Jackson just motivating young men to get their life together that just speaks to me on a deep level that I can't pass that up.
You
did it, man. You did it. Zachary's in shambles. His draft board is obliterated.
I think I should remember the Titans.
No, Trent, you did it though. Like, you picked the sleeper pick that's actually the best in the category.
I think maybe. Like I said, I know people stand for Hoosiers and it's great, but yeah, for my money, it's this. Just the whole thing of him like getting them to sign the contract and wear a suit, and like when they all fall behind on the academics, he locks the gym for like 30 minutes of the movie and like makes them get it together. We young Channing Tatum, guys, like his third movie ever. So yeah, if you have not checked out Coach Carter, if you can not tell from my picking it and Zach's reaction, I think we all would say you definitely should check out Coach Carter.
It's so good, and it's one of the. It does feel like a little Remember the Titans-ish.
Yes.
Just the way that the coaching persona that Denzel Washington's character has and Samuel Jackson's character has. They're both very much that like old school, like you're gonna show up and you're gonna work and you're gonna fight for your spot on the team. It's a very old school demeanor met up against like a young team of players who is not really about it, and they have to. So I really admire that pick a lot. Great pick.
I'm getting crushed.
This is interesting here because you took 2 off the board that I really wanted.
Me too.
I'm gonna consult my draft board here for a moment and remind myself like what is that? Because see, there's some categories out here where I feel like I can wait a little while because I have a deep list of things that I like. What I think I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go in a category that I don't feel as sure about. And that we've picked a lot of serious movies.
No.
So I'm gonna take this in a new direction here, and I'm gonna pick a movie that is a pure comedy, and it's got one of my favorite performances in a sports movie ever. It's absolutely ridiculous. When we talk about sports movies, the ones we've talked about already are great because they elicit like real things that happen in sports, right? Moneyball, great example of a movie that like this is actually what happens in the front office of a sports franchise. But sometimes we get a movie that's just so ridiculous that like it comes with a premise that would literally never happen, and it makes it better for that reason. And so I am going to select my football movie. And I'm going to pick Waterboy.
Oh,
I am taking Waterboy off the board. Truly one of my favorite Adam Sandler performances. Adam Sandler as Bobby Boucher is like gold to me. I love it so much. And it's just a ridiculous movie. But I don't know. There's something about it. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, the Adam Sandler, like, goofy sports movie doesn't always land with me. Like, not the like hugest fan of like The Longest Yard or Happy Gilmore stuff, but for some reason Waterboy really works for me. I love it.
I actually this is a hole in my Adam Sandler filmography. I've never seen this.
Interesting.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, I've heard.
It's fun. I would recommend it. Like, when you have like just some time to kill and you're like, I'm bored, like, throw on Waterboy. It'll be a good time.
You're right, Josh. I feel like this is peak Adam Sandler goofiness.
Yes.
Like, I feel like this and Billy Madison are like prime before it got stale.
Right.
Like, his thing got stale. So I'm going to be honest with you. I really thought you were going a different direction. And my heart was breaking because I thought you were going to steal something.
Okay. So now you get to pick two in a row.
Two, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I feel like I need to get this out of the way.
Okay.
Because I was really concerned where you're going. Because this is one of my favorite sports movies of all time.
Okay.
I'm going to pick in our first wild card.
Oh.
I'm going to go in the wild card team division. I was really determined between two teams.
Okay. Yeah.
One is more kind of the Remember the Titans, Coach Carter type of way. And one is just pure comedy, but it's like genius. And it's considered one of like even the best comedy.
Yeah.
When a movie is so quotable, so great, so comedic talent, it has one of my favorite villains of all time.
I know where you're going. Yes.
I'm taking Dodgeball.
Great pick.
I'm taking
Amazing
Dodgeball. Pick. To have a movie that is so comedic genius, it has Vince Vaughn, one of the best dry humor comedians, and it has Bill. I'm so sorry, Ben Stiller as one of the best comedic villains that he can do.
Yeah.
And also, it's so great. It's so entertaining. The montages of the Dodgeball. One of my favorite lines from it of all time, I quote all the time by myself, is just, "This is Blade. This is Laser. This is Blazer." I don't know why that's so funny to me, but it's also so emotional too, because it's like the characters are not relatable, but you care for them. We have a pirate. We have like a dweeb. We have like definition of an underdog story where all these characters are underdogs in their individual careers, and they come together to form one awesome team. If you can dodge a car, you can dodge a ball. So I'm taking Dodgeball with my second pick.
Dodge a car?
Have you not seen the movie?
It's Wrench, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's Wrench, but then it's when you were in. I know it's Wrench, but then they do a scene. If you can dodge a car, you can dodge a ball.
I was just a little confused there.
I've only seen it once, so I trust your memory of it more than mine.
Great. I love Dodgeball. That's such a good...
Also, Jason Bateman is one of the greatest sports commentators of all time.
His hair is great. It's
a bold strategy. Let's see how it works out for them, Cotton.
yes,
so
great.
Good.
So you get to go again, Zachary.
All right. I'm going to be honest with right now. Basketball and baseball took a really big hit with Coach Carter and Moneyball. I feel like I have to go in one of those. I haven't seen a whole lot of sports movies.
Yep.
I have to go in the basketball area.
Okay. Yeah.
Coach Carter was my number one.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like there's not a lot of serious basketball movies besides Coach Carter. I've never seen Hoosiers, so I can't really pick it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now, let me take you back. This guy learned a lot from his movie, because you can say that this helped him with another career. By doing this movie, it helped him win 6 championships with the Bulls. And guess what? He learned all from a buddy. I'm taking the original Space Jam with my pick, the better of the two. Now, is his acting okay? It's okay. It's okay. But this is just a good old-fashioned fun movie. If you get Daffy Duck, Bugs Bunny, and Michael Jordan, the 3 top Looney Tunes of all time, including Michael Jordan. Like, it's so peak. And also Bill Murray in it is hilarious. I love the cameos. Also, my favorite scene, if you can see this on YouTube, it's phenomenal, of just Charles Barkley just like getting his powers sucked. It's just, some movies are just here to have a fun time. And it's a reason it's a cult classic, because it's a good movie. You have fun with it. You can be a kid, you can be an adult. And it's honestly just brilliant in the way that it knows what type of movie it is, and it's a fun kid, adult humor movie, and it does a really good job with it. That's why I think it's one of the best, like, just all around fun movies of all time. I feel like you can go back to it and you don't get tired of watching it.
It's a good pick. Space Jam is a pop culture staple. You know what I mean? Like, if you go back to that era of time, like Space Jam kind of like is a representation of like the 90s and everything that was going on. I have a Michael Jordan Space Jam jersey. I almost brought it out for today's episode too. So while we're on this topic, by the way, anybody seen LeBron's Space Jam?
Sucked.
I haven't seen
it. Sucked. Did you actually see it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
I did.
All right, so tell quick.
Have you seen
mini
it?
Review?
So basically, he has two sons, and one of them gets sucked into a computer, and then has to save it from AI. And wow. I don't think you understand.
Really ahead of its time.
The amount of cameos from other movies is astronomical.
Yes, I
know.
The only good don't they have the Iron Giant in there?
Yes. Yeah. The only good thing about this movie is Don Cheadle. You get an Oscar-nominated actor. He does a phenomenal job. My favorite scene is LeBron just goes, straight face, game time. That's it. And I'm like, okay. Like, he's so goofy.
LeBron, decent actor, but like, you know.
Well, fun fact, I'm a big movie buff, as you know.
Yeah.
Do you know what the Razzie Awards are? Mm-hmm. Razzie Awards are given to. Guess who won the worst performance?
Was it really LeBron?
It was LeBron James.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
LeBron James.
Nice. Just another link in the chain for the LeBron versus MJ debate. Okay, so that's Space Jam. Zachary, you have you've got your football, your basketball, and your team wild card slot filled. I have my football and boxing slot filled, and so now I feel good. I feel comfortable. There were some movies that I was really scared was going to get picked up before my next pick, but they didn't. And so this is a deep category. The baseball category is a deep category, but I just feel like if I got this movie on my list, I'm locked in. You know what I mean? Like I'm set. It's gonna kind of woo some people, right? So another recent film. I am selecting 42 as my baseball.
That's a really good one.
So obviously, the late great Chadwick Boseman as Jackie Robinson he's phenomenal. I mean, it is one of like the coolest performances you've seen. To like Chadwick Boseman, may he rest in peace. The fact that he took on so many iconic roles, and it wasn't just like I'm gonna be like the most prominent black superhero in history. I'm also gonna play Jackie Robinson. I'm also gonna like. He played Thurgood Marshall, correct? Yeah. Right? Like he played so many iconic roles and found a way to like stand out in all of them. And 42 is just an excellent movie because it, do we hear the stories of Jackie Robinson? I feel like that's a sports story that gets taught about in the classroom. So you learn about Jackie Robinson like as a student growing up. And so it takes everything you've heard about him growing up and just adds all the necessary detail that you want to hear and builds up a really great story for this like American hero. And then you've got great performance from Harrison Ford popping off in this movie, and I love 42. I haven't seen it in a while, but like I just like it quickly rose up the ranks of like my favorite sports movies, period. So.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. You got Chadwick Boseman, and then you have Alan Tudyk as like the horribly racist coach on the other team, and like one person I follow online was like doing the review for it on Letterboxd, and they're like, when the text card came up that dude never worked in baseball again, I cheered. Like,
yep, it's a great moment. It's a great moment.
It's so good.
So I'm sticking with 42. Trent, you're back on the clock with 2 picks.
I need to see them.
All right, so I gotta be honest. I thought one of you all was gonna swoop in. I gotta secure one of my favorite team movies. So this is my wild card team pick. I'm gonna go with another Disney true story classic. I gotta go with Miracle, guys.
Dang! I knew you were gonna do it.
It's so good. I mean, I would say all the Disney sports movies are great. Few of them are Oscar worthy. I think like Denzel in Remember the Titans and Kurt Russell in Miracle are worthy of Oscar consideration, both of them.
Yes.
There's so many great scenes in this movie, like the scene where they're doing the suicide sprints, and then at the end, it's like, who do you play for? It's like, I play for the United States of America. And then like when he's firing up the one guy who got injured, and he's like, hey, do you want to are you not a hockey player? And the guy's like, I am a hockey player. And then Kurt Russell's like, that'll get him going. Like, it's just like,
it's great.
So many good moments.
We have like a very young Gen Z question coming in.
What is Miracle?
It's the story about the amateur players that made up the U.S. hockey team that beat the Russian team in 1980.
Okay.
Like the Miracle on Lake Placid is like what the event's more formally known as.
Okay, I was thinking so the only hockey movie I know is Mighty Ducks. So it's like, okay, good for them.
No, Miracle is a classic. It has been years. I mean, like since I was a child, since I've seen Miracle. Gotcha. So it's very fuzzy. Like the scenes you just described, I'm like, yeah, I kind of remember that. But like, that's a iconic movie. It's an iconic like sports moment in history. Like I remember my dad used to have this it's like a DVD of like the greatest sports broadcasting calls of all time, and like the call of Bob Costas calling the game that the U.S. won against the Russians. Like I just remembered that track vividly in my mind, and so just truly, it's a great movie. And I'm like, I kind of want to go back and rewatch it now. Like it's
fired
been so
up
long.
On Disney Plus, man. It holds up really well.
I was gonna say after this, I just want to watch all these movies.
Same, seriously. And then run through a brick wall because like I'm so motivated.
Yeah. What are you? I'm ready.
All right, so Miracle off the board. Great pick. Trent, you are up again, sir.
All right, I think since there's only a couple really great ones, I gotta take my boxing MMA pick off the board here. And I'm gonna go with a little underseen one that came out a couple years ago but that's gained traction in the sports world. I'm gonna talk about Warrior with Tom Hardy.
Oh yeah, I remember about that one.
So this is a great one, a little depressing. So it's a story of basically Nick Nolte plays a father who struggled with alcoholism, and he has 2 sons, and one of them left with their mother when he was a kid, played by Tom Hardy, and joined the Marines and has now come back. And then another one still lives in Pittsburgh where the dad lives and is a teacher in Philadelphia. And through a series of events, both the brothers end up entering into this sudden death mode MMA contest, and then it builds from there, and then they end up facing each other towards the end. That's kind of a spoiler, but not really. If you've seen a movie before, that's where it's going. And it's just some of the best MMA I've ever seen in a movie, where they actually get into the nitty gritty of how grappling works and strategy, and you see the 2 different modes of fighting taken on by both Tom Hardy and then Joel Edgerton, which people may know from Kenobi. He played Uncle Owen in the Kenobi series and stuff. So yeah, really, really underseen one, but really great one. Warrior.
I have heard about that movie.
Yeah, really good.
Actually, really good.
I have not, so I'm interested to check it out now. I mean, I love Tom Hardy, so I think this is phenomenal. This is right up my alley.
It's some of his best work. He
really.
It's almost all physical. He doesn't talk a whole bunch, so it's really well. Yeah.
He's great in those roles, man.
He really is.
Bane, phenomenal performance. Yeah. All right, Warrior off the board. Okay, so that brings it back to me. I have I've got a few categories. Still haven't picked basketball. Both my wild cards are empty, and that to me is where I want to focus right now. So I'm going to pick my individual wild card movie. I don't think we've had anyone pick one of these yet. So individual sport wild card movie, and this is, I feel like I'm picking all like recent movies. That's just, recency bias is like pretty strong for me. So, but this one, is just a phenomenal movie. I believe this was a Best Picture nominee. Um, and it's definitely a story that I did not know about, that I don't know if I even really cared about a sport that I really know little about, and it introduces us into like the I don't think it's F1, but like one of the international motorsport
Cars.
Yeah, one of the motorsport leagues from back in the day, and it's also depressing movie, ends on a very depressing note, and that's why I am picking Ford versus Ferrari.
Oh,
I really, really love this movie a lot. The performances are spectacular. Christian Bale, really cool to see him in a sports movie. Like he gives the vibe you'd expect of one of these like long time like veteran racers, right? Like he's phenomenal in it. It's a great just like kind of come up story, and again ends on a very depressing note, but like Trent, I'm correct that it was nominated for Best Picture,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
you are.
okay, that's what I thought, and so I'm just like, it's one of the few sports movies where you're like, you may not even think of it as a sports movie first because it's just that like high quality of a movie. So yeah,
I think also Christian Bale was nominated for his performance.
I think
Correct me
so.
if I'm wrong. But I always want to watch that. I think you're right. Cars can be kind of boring when it like watching that movie. So I heard great things about that movie.
It's so good. You took my individual movie. This was gonna
oh,
be my
I had a feeling you were gonna scoop that one up.
this one's so good because like we've seen good car racing movies before visually, but I think this is the first one that the sound, like I saw this in the theater with my dad, and like the sound of the cars is just so visceral.
Yes.
And that both Christian Bale and Matt Damon, they're both so good, and they're funny in this movie too. They have like a whole fight scene in like the middle of the movie that's like so
right,
great, where they're just like smacking each other with Wonder Bread. And like
that's right.
Awesome.
That's right.
There's a great scene where Matt Damon's like showing Henry Ford II how the car works and takes him on a test drive, and by the end Henry Ford's like sobbing in the car.
Yes, I forgot. Oh, that's such a good scene. Yes, that's such a good scene.
Yeah, no, great pick.
And that's why it's like truly like that movie like just left me in a state of depression, because I was like, what happened here? Like there were some really fun moments in this movie, and then all of a sudden at the end it's just like wah wah, like now sit in this like pit of sorrow. That's so awesome. It's a great movie. Zachary, you're back on the clock. You also have 3 categories left, so you get to go back to back.
So it's baseball, boxing, that area, and wild card 2.
Yep.
I'm saving my wild card 2 for last because I know no one's gonna do this.
Okay, good for you then.
So I'm gonna go to baseball.
Okay.
I feel like baseball has got a lot of good picks. This to me, this was my childhood.
Okay.
This movie, I remember vividly of always watching this with my family. We actually have the box set, all 3 of this movie. This is a really classic movie.
Mm-hmm.
Really good underdog story. Mm-hmm. I'm taking the Bad News Bears.
This is that's right.
I'm taking the Bad News Bears.
Yeah.
I think it's really an underrated movie. People really forget about this movie, about the series, because it's a very like 80s type of movie, very like gives very 80s vibes. But people forget about this movie. But I really think this is a gem because the acting's really good. The kids give you like the tomboy energy, and it's just a classic like rooting a feel good movie.
Yeah.
It's like really good baseball scenes, gives you the classic, and I feel like it does a great job of showing like the emotion of like what little like playing in Little League feels like. Yeah. Like it gives you that nostalgic feeling. Yeah. And it's just a really good movie in my opinion.
You're right. I have never actually seen the Bad News Bears. It's a great movie. So, but I know like it. I know the value that it holds in your family. So great. That's a nostalgia pick for you. I feel like
for me, it was growing up. I think I've seen that movie like 10 times.
Yeah,
it's just a very cool classic movie to me.
Have you seen it, Trent?
Not in a long time. Like I saw it like once or twice as a kid, but not in like at least 10 or 15 years. So basically no. Like I don't really remember a lot.
Yeah. All right. Baseball taken care of. You're up again.
Yeah. I feel like I'm probably the most underrated in this draft right now because I have a lot of sleepers. I'm gonna go to boxing, and this is also a pick I don't think people is an underrated movie in my opinion. This at one point was my favorite movie of all time.
Okay.
Ooh.
This is an Oscar nominated movie.
Okay.
For visual effects, I believe.
Okay.
This stars Hugh Jackson. No, what's his name?
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. Thank you, Hugh Jackman. This is a movie called Real Steel.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
This movie rocks.
This movie was one of my favorite movies at the time. I watched it like twice in the theater. I don't think you understand. Like, this gives you a twist on boxing. It's refreshing. It's refreshing in boxing. You laugh. It's fine.
I believe you. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Let me, if you haven't seen it, it's a story of a retired boxer who gets into the betting business of where in a world where boxing is now by robots controlled by humans. And it's really cool, actually. Mm-hmm. Like, the visuals are actually phenomenal.
Yeah.
The acting is pretty good. The relationship between the son and his like neglectful father, I believe it was. It's something relationship wise with that.
Mm-hmm. I think it's that.
But it's like, again, I guess all my movies are like kind of underdog stories, but it's like the relationship really holds the movie together. And just there's this what is the scene where it's like you do multiple things in one thing? It's
montage.
Like montage. This is one of my favorite montage scenes of
really?
all time. Okay. The amount of, it's like you see like a cowboy robot, you see like a warrior robot. It's super cool, and like it gives you this feeling of like what boxing's gonna be in like the future. Yeah. And I think it's just a very underrated movie. It's fun, Oscar nominated, like I said, and just the relationships between us two is just super good.
Okay.
That's cool. Why'd you laugh?
I'm sorry. I've never seen the movie.
It's super good.
It's really fun. It's really good. It's really good. It's really good.
I believe you. For some reason, the movie Real Steel and Pacific Rim get like tangled in my mind. I guess it's just the humans controlling robots thing. When you said it, I was just like,
but the cool thing about this robot is like the final scene is like this robot has a special feature called shadow boxing where it loses its like can't control, so it has to watch the person do that.
Oh, that's cool.
And you see Hugh Jackman like go to town. Yeah. Like do all these cool like legit boxing things. Yeah. I think it's super cool. That's a great last.
That's fun.
That's very cool. I like that. That's cool. All right, I respect it. Good pick. The other thing is like we left Rocky on the board. We left the entire Rocky series on the board.
I haven't seen it.
Like that's true. That's true. I just someone's definitely gonna let us know. Like y'all didn't.
Rocky sucks.
Not a single person picked Rocky on this podcast. Okay. All right, we're nearing the end here, folks. So I've got 2 slots left. My basketball and my team wild card. And let me take a look. What have y'all picked? Okay, so y'all have picked something in both these categories. So I'm good. I can kind of pick and choose what I want to here. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna go. I think. Let's see. What do I? This is interesting. I think I'm gonna go for my wild card, my team wild card first, because this is a big. This movie was a big deal in my family growing up, at least. I am going to select another baseball movie. Again, we said that this category is deep, so I'm gonna snag another baseball movie. Mm-hmm. And guys, this movie introduced an idea so iconic that now the MLB has a game once a year dedicated to this movie. Mm. This is a real thing that happens.
Oh.
So I am picking Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
And great movie. We get James Earl Jones in this movie, like pitching 100 miles an hour, right? Like it's just a really cool story. And it's been a long time since I've seen it. But the quote, obviously, if you build it, they will come, mm-hmm. is iconic. And it's been a while since I've seen it. So again, like I'm not like able to remember a ton of the story, but it's just, I think the dramatic moments in that movie just land so well. That's why it's so quotable. That's why like when you see the like ex-players like walking out of the corn stalks at the end of the movie is just like magical.
Yeah.
Is one of the most magical movies. And that's why like the Field of Dreams game that the MLB puts on now, like it actually replicates the movie pretty well, and the way that they literally make the players come out of the cornfield. And it's just like when we talk about like baseball being America's pastime, and like we don't really like care to watch it on TV that much anymore. I feel like it's because like baseball as a sport is just better experience in person, to have
100%.
that like to have that feel in the stadium. And I think Field of Dreams communicates that really well.
So I've only seen snippets of Field of Dreams, and so is there a real Field of Dreams? Like, is that the thing?
So they recreated the field in the movie in I think is it Iowa? Is that
I think it's Iowa. Yeah,
it's either Iowa or Idaho.
Because they
I
come
think.
out like, isn't it like past baseball players come out of like the cornfield and play?
Yes,
Gotcha.
Yes,
yeah.
So like Angels in the outfield is what I'm getting at.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yes, they're basically the same movie.
The same
You've
movie.
seen Angels in the Outfield.
But I was gonna say I agree with you. Like I don't think I can watch baseball like on the screen.
Yeah.
But I've been to a couple Washington games. Though that is like, I feel like baseball has the best. Baseball and basketball, in my opinion, have the best experiences watching it live, because you get so many interactive stuff. Like when they do the big jumbotron, you have to find out where the ball is underneath the shell. Like, oh, count me in, champ. I'm in. I'm in to win. It's on number 2. Like, come on.
And honestly, that's what sports are all about.
Really.
Okay, Trent, you are up next, and you get to round out your roster here. You got 2 more picks to make, and you get to finish it right here.
Yeah, I think first I gotta go with my football pick here.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
this is a movie that like my dad loves, and I don't know if you guys had this growing up, but like this was the movie for a while where my dad saw this, and then anytime we had like family over, extended family, or like friends, like my dad was like, "Hey, have you guys seen this? We're gonna watch this." Like it was that movie that he threw on, and so I'm gonna go with the Disney classic Invincible with Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did not expect that.
Oh, is that? Oh, yes.
Yeah, yes.
I know exactly.
So like context here, my dad's from Pennsylvania, so like the fact that it's about like Pennsylvania and Philly and all that stuff is great. But it's just a really good story of like, you know, Dick Vermeil holding these open tryouts for people to join the Eagles, and you get this great montage of like what would actually happen in real life if just random dudes tried out for a football team. Like nobody can catch balls. There's this one guy who like wears a cape to the tryouts, and like he tries to do like the tackle bag, and he just gets wasted every time. And no, Mark Wahlberg like makes the team, and it's just like it's a really good story too, and sort of talking about why like we love sports. Like the movie set against this whole backdrop of like labor strikes in Philly in the 70s, and so the idea of this like hometown boy like making it into the NFL after the Eagles had like 3 terrible seasons. It's just a really good story. It's not I don't think it's quite to the level of like Remember the Titans or Miracles, but I would say it's like 1 tier below that for like the Disney sports stuff.
I agree. It is. It's like 1 tier below. My family loved this movie growing up also. And I think we had it on DVD. Like it was just it's an underrated movie. It truly is.
It really is.
Because it's also a good underdog story. So yeah, great pick, Trent.
Thank you.
I heard really good things about it. Again, I've seen snippets of the movie, and I love the montage of him, like Mark Wahlberg, like running like super fast, and they're like checking their watches.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
do you know? Also, like the age, like isn't there a scene where it's like they ask him what his age is, and he lies?
Well, it's Dick Vermeil asks him like, Vince, do you mind if I ask you how old you are? He's like, no, I don't mind. Mind if I ask how old you are? Like,
that was good.
That is good. All right, so one more, Trent. You have your individual team or individual sport wildcards slot left.
And I've bounced back and forth on this one, but I think I got to go with a classic that I'm a little surprised didn't make it off the board. Although I guess you could debate how much of a sports movie this is, but I think it counts. So I'm going to roll with it.
Oh, I think I know what you're going to pick.
So this movie isn't just a sports movie, guys. This was a cultural phenomenon. This movie it can make you a better person, I think. I'm talking about The Karate Kid, everybody.
Oh, good pick. I didn't know. Yes,
question.
Good pick.
Question. Are we taking the Jaden Smith version?
Oh no. I actually, in fairness, I like that one more than most people. I don't hate it.
I know, I like that one too.
But no, we're talking the OG with Ralph Macchio.
Great pick, man. Oh, that's a good pick. That was solid.
That's a good pick.
I mean, what's not to love? I mean, you got Ralph Macchio, you got William Zabka, and then you just have Mr. Miyagi's lessons. Just patience, paint the fence, all that stuff. And then you get a heartbreaking scene about internment camps and the horrors of World War II, 2/3 of the movie. But it all works. And you get the what I also love about this movie is that like movies in the 80s just knew when to end, right? Like the movie literally like he crane kicks Johnny Lawrence in the head and he's like, "Hey, good job," and then the movie just rolls to credits. Like if that movie was made now, there'd be like 10 extra minutes of him going back to school and everybody being like, "We love you now."
There'd be a post-credit scene teasing Cobra Kai.
Exactly. The movie just ends there. But no, in all seriousness, I actually I rewatched this during one of the Super Bowls. We were bored, and so we turned it off at halftime.
Wait, for real? That's hilarious.
And so we were
like, gosh, that's great.
Let's order some Taco Bell and watch the Karate Kid.
Yeah, what a night! Oh my gosh!
And we all were like, by the end, like I logged it on Letterboxd, and I'm like, is this a 4.5-star movie? Because I think it's a 4.5-star movie. Like, I think there's nothing kind of wrong with it. And so yeah, got to go with the Karate Kid.
Oh, I'm not gonna argue with you. I think it's hilarious to me. It's been a while since I've seen this movie. But like, huge Cobra Kai fan here.
Mm-hmm, me too.
Watching that show is hilarious. How many like moments and scenes they pull from Karate Kid to like build this dramatic tension. I'm like, I know when they made Karate Kid, no one was thinking like, oh, this is gonna be great for our spin-off Netflix series later in the
40 years from now. Yeah,
right. But they built an entire universe off of this one movie.
And
it's
the thing
crazy.
about it's like the other thing, like the show, I've only seen like the first couple episodes, but it's like legit like a good show. It's been nominated for Emmys. It's been really good. I've only seen the first original Karate Kid, and like that is like a very cult classic, very actual good movie, not just like the crane kick. Oh my gosh, phenomenal. Now, is it better than Jaden Smith? Well, debatable.
I mean, it doesn't have Justin Bieber singing over
exactly. It doesn't.
That's a great point. Solid point. All right, Trent, great pick. We're gonna take a moment at the end to just run through everyone's roster one last time. Okay. My final pick is coming in the basketball category. And the top two movies on my list were Coach Carter and Space Jam. Those are gone. I'm definitely not taking Space Jam: A New Legacy.
You could.
And there's two movies on here that I decided they're better as honorable mentions. Like I will mention these movies as honorable mentions. But if we're doing a draft, like I'm here to win. I'm here to pick the movie that's going to get people to vote for me. Now I will say this with a caveat that like y'all got to be honest here, and you can call me out and say no, Josh, this doesn't count. But I think it does. I think sports is truly a big theme in this movie. It may not be the most important theme, but it is a major theme in the movie. And that's why for my basketball movie, I'm picking High School Musical, the original.
No, absolutely not.
Hold on. I'm actually thinking about this.
Okay. The only movable scene in it is when Troy. That's the only thing. Like that's like saying it's also a theater movie. Like you can say it's a theater movie because it does.
Why is it not both?
But it's not. It's about high school relationships.
But it does have a pivotal dance number during basketball practice.
It does.
Okay, I want to change my pick to Luck of the Irish then because
I would allow that 100%. I would.
Okay, fine.
No. I'll be honest. You say this doesn't count.
I mean, it's on the line. Like
it's very.
I knew it would be on the line.
I don't know. I
knew it would be on the line.
I don't know.
If you really don't feel strongly about any other, I'd allow it. But if you had another one that you
I got others. I got others I could pick.
All right.
Now, High School Musical 2, I'll allow.
That's a
baseball movie.
I'm gonna say baseball.
It's a
baseball movie. I can't. I already got two. So,
but that's the thing. In the High School Musical 2, they have that huge dance summer baseball scene, but that's really it. Right.
I just was like, Troy in the first movie. My argument for it would be Troy was like really wrestling with, am I going to be a basketball player or am I going to be a singer? And so it's just like, he did have that basketball bag in him. You know what I'm?
That's true.
I
didn't think about
my
that
high
part.
school my high school musical basketball memory is little side story time is I remember early days of Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just created my Facebook account in like 6th grade, and I'm like scrolling through, and what do I find? Like, what is this? I didn't know how this word was pronounced at the time. I scroll across the NBA memes account, and I'm like, what are memes? And I'm like, NBA memes, this is cool. And so I click into it, and I'm like scrolling through all the posts and stuff like that. And there's a post. This is like 2010. And so this team was like hot garbage at the time. This is actually statistically the worst NBA basketball team of all time. It was a picture of Troy Bolton leading the musical number in the gym during High School Musical, and the caption just said "Charlotte Bobcats practice."
Oh, jeez,
it's one of the greatest.
Okay,
and I remember like running with my phone to my dad, and it's like, "Dad, look at this! Like, I don't know what the memes are, but like, look at this. This is so funny."
Okay, you kind of sold me. You kind of sold me.
I'm not gonna pick it. No, I'm not gonna pick it.
No, I will say after you told me, like, I was just thinking the musical part, but you're right. He does like deal with the basketball.
Yeah.
You sold me. I'll allow it. If that's okay,
I actually will.
I'll allow it.
Look at that.
Look
at that. I did it. I'll tell y'all what my honorable mentions were for this category.
I guess you can say we're all in this together.
I guess you could. Nice. All right. Have y'all seen either the Way Back or Hustle?
I have seen both of those, and
I have not.
Both of those work for me for sure.
I really like those movies.
Yeah.
Hustle is great.
I heard Hustle is really good.
Hustle is so I rewatched that. Like, it came out only last year, and I think I've already rewatched it like 3 times. Like,
really?
Yeah. And I'm not even like a huge basketball person, but something about like dramatic Adam Sandler, like, it works.
Yeah, he's good.
And the NBA player, like Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, he's different.
Good little actor.
Is he like the villain? The one?
Yes.
Like,
yes. Yeah.
He's so mean in that movie.
I know, and it's great.
What is the Way Back?
The Way Back is
one, right?
Ben Affleck.
I know you're talking about.
Yep. He plays like an alcoholic, recovering alcoholic who becomes a high school basketball coach.
Classic.
Yeah. Very good movie.
That was like one of the last movies that came out in theaters before the pandemic.
It is, yeah. It really got destroyed at the box office because of COVID. But
also, I love that on your list for baseball, you have She's the Man.
That's not in baseball.
That was
sorry. You misread. You misread.
Like, sweetie, that's soccer. Like, what are you doing?
Let my imagination run wild. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm done. Sorry, that took a while. Zachary, you're up next.
I have the final pick.
You have the final pick in our draft.
I've been telling Josh how excited I am for this pick. The whole yesterday, everything.
Is this gonna be one of the things where we have to also vote on if this is an actual pick or not?
To me, no. I clarified with you for individual sport, it has to be like individual, and it has to have a sport.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take you back.
Okay.
There haven't been, when you think of like Gladiator, that's been like the last like really good like gladiator movie, arena movie. Right?
Yeah.
Let's go a little more recent. Like you said, I want to go for like, I want to get picked, right?
Yeah,
so sometimes you have to do something. When you think individual success, you take, let's say 24 kids under 18 and you bring them in an arena.
Oh my God.
Have one of the best sports ever invented. I picked the original Hunger Games. Now, when you think individual sports, you think Hunger Games. They have archery. They have tossing stuff. They have running. They have swimming. They have everything. It's like the Olympics, but in other times. Now, the one thing I like about this movie is that you get to see each individual shine their best sport. We have javelin, really good. That killed Ren. Rue killed rest in peace. We have archery, iconic.
Yeah.
We even have like swimming. That's really good in that. And you can see how enticing it is because all the fans love it, and it's become a pop culture phenomenon on how phenomenal this movie is. This really no pun intended, caught fire to Jennifer Lawrence on how phenomenal actress she is.
Yep.
This began like the renaissance for like books becoming into movies and these type of movies. It gave us like The Maze Runner, maybe Diversion. I think that was after this, but also you get to see these kids battle to the death. I mean, and it fights for their honor, for their district. I mean, best individual sport I can think of personally.
All right, Trent, what do you think? Are we allowing this?
I'm going to allow it. I'm okay with it.
Excuse me. This was already going to be allowed. It has sports, individual success.
Weirdly, I don't have an argument with that.
Right. There's no holes in the argument is more the thing, whether it counts or not. Like,
yeah, the argument is solid. Like,
exactly.
It is technically an individual sport.
Yeah.
There's no team involved, and it is a clear competition.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm okay with it.
I'm not gonna argue with it.
I was so
congratulations.
I don't think you understand.
That's a great sleeper. Like no like framework of my mind did I ever think like, can I fit Hunger Games into this draft?
This is when you said sports draft, I'm like, the first thing I thought, I'm like, Hunger Games. It's like, this is somehow, some way I'm putting Hunger Games in this list. And I'm so glad I did.
You did it. All right, guys. That's our draft. Before we recap, you guys have any honorable mentions that you didn't get to pick?
I do actually have a couple. So for individual sports, I didn't get to bring golf into this, but The Greatest Game Ever Played, Shia LaBeouf on Disney Plus. Really good, solid golf movie.
Okay.
I know Shia LaBeouf, has had some troubles in this, so don't want to talk about that stuff. But yeah, as a movie about golf, I think it touches on like the classism in golf and stuff really well. Really good golf movie. And it's hard to make golf cinematic, right? But I think Bill Paxton did a good job with that. And then if I had another team slot or another football slot, I would have loved to have mentioned Gridiron Gang. Underrated.
Really?
Underrated Dwayne The Rock Johnson performance.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought. I saw that one pop up in my research. I haven't seen either of those movies.
So okay. Greatest Game Ever Played, Disney Plus. Gridiron Gang, Netflix. Just watched it a couple days ago.
All right. Okay. Okay.
You're good to go. You're good to go.
Okay. Solid. Well, you have any, Zach?
I have a couple.
Yeah.
I just thought of the game plan for football.
I would have allowed it.
So for individual sport, I had Soul Surfer on here.
Oh, wait.
I thought that was
actually yes.
I thought it was a really good one.
Yeah.
For wild card for team, I was really debating between Dodgeball and McFarlane USA.
Just watch that great movie.
I think it's a really good. Another it's a Disney movie with
Kevin Costner.
Thank you, Kevin Costner. Really great. I had Cars on here.
I'm so mad I didn't think of that.
And then I also had I talked about this with you, called a little ping pong movie called Balls of Fury.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah, that reminds me. I also almost seriously considered for individual sport putting Talladega Nights when you put Fort Lee Jar.
That's a good one too.
That was on my list. That was awesome. On my list. Yes. Shake and Bake.
Oh wait, why did we think semi-pros?
That was all. Yes, okay. I thought it.
I've never seen it.
Semi-pro is pretty good.
Also,
it's not the best, but it's pretty good.
I will say I was really debating putting Air Bud for like all.
I thought somebody was gonna do it for basketball. I really
did.
That's a so my here's a few on my list that didn't get picked. Really surprised actually. Rudy did not come up in this conversation for football.
That was interesting. I love Rudy. I think you can debate if it's a football movie, which is why probably none of us thought about it.
That's true. That's a good point.
Because you see like two practices and he makes the one play, and it's like
it's stretching it a little bit. True. You're right.
I think that would happen in the NFL.
Yeah. Okay. A few others that didn't get picked. Okay, baseball. No one mentioned The Sandlot. Thought that was interesting.
That was on my. If somebody had taken Moneyball, that was going to be
the
backup.
That was on my list too.
So obviously that's just iconic. I actually did have She's the Man on my list. You mentioned that.
Great movie.
Okay, and then because I also had Talladega Nights on there. Last one for the like MMA category. Little what?
No, keep going.
Little movie that came out recently called Fighting with My Family.
That's a phenomenal movie.
Great Florence Pugh performance.
Phenomenal movie.
Oh, I forgot it's Florence Pugh. Yeah, that was like early on. That's early on.
And
Yeah,
Vince Vaughn.
Yes. Yep.
Best WWE movie ever.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. I think it's on Hulu. Like
I think it is, yeah.
If you haven't seen it, highly recommend to go check it out.
I was also going to say, there's this movie called The Wrestler.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of that.
Oh,
that
it's
was
super depressing, but
I
it's
was
awesome.
thinking about that movie, too. I haven't seen it, so I couldn't pick it, but I heard great things.
Well, guys, those are a lot of good runner-up picks, but we have our roster set. So I'm going to run through it one final time before we hop off this podcast. Zachary's roster looks like this. Remember the Titans, Space Jam, The Bad News Bears, Real Steel, Dodgeball, and yes, Hunger Games. That's Zachary's roster. And then me, I had Waterboy, High School Musical, 42, Creed, Field of Dreams, and Ford vs. Ferrari.
That's a good one, too.
Trent, your list. You had Invincible, Coach Carter, Moneyball, Warrior, Miracle, and Karate Kid. I feel like you have some real tough, intense titles on that.
Very dramatic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because I'm rooting for myself to win, we should go around and say, if we had to pick another person, who we think would win.
Okay. All right.
Personally, I want to win, but I think Trent knocked it out of the park. I really think he got when he got Moneyball and Coach Carter. I'm like, that's.
I mean, we were visibly in shambles.
I know that's a done deal.
Yeah, that's tough.
Again, hoping we win, but also would not be surprised if Trent won.
Well, but here's the thing. I think mine, I obviously I like mine because I picked it. But compared to your guys, I went for very populist, you could even argue basic answers. I feel like you guys you stretched the parameters more, and but in a good way. That's the fun of drafts, though. So I think you guys exhibited a little more creativity, honestly, than I did. But some of these movies are in legit my top 200 movies of all time. So I couldn't ignore.
I know it's hard, man.
I couldn't ignore them. They were just sitting there, so I couldn't let them go by.
I think I would go Trent. I'm looking at the rosters but the thing is there might be some you might have some real Steel heads out there and some Bad News Bears heads.
Because here's the thing, Real Steel, and then Remember the Titans. I do think for for our generation, Remember the Titans is the sports movie to watch.
100%.
And then Josh, you got Ford v Ferrari and Creed in there. Creed's the best sports movie.
I felt good about those.
Creed's the best sports movie of the last 10 years. Yeah. So I think I love both of yours too, genuinely. So
I think we both have two picks that have very big fan bases.
Yes.
Me being Hunger Games, and I think we all have good sleepers and also some good I have themes for each of our things. I think mine is solely underdog. I have a lot of underdog movies, stuff like that. I think Trent, like you said, has big heavy hitters.
Yeah,
has big, and yours is because you have it's just think of if you go to a dentist office and you get really good and you get to open the prize chest.
What?
That's how I see it. You have a bunch of little nickets and nackets in there. I think it's really cool.
Well, thanks for that backhanded compliment. I really appreciate it.
No, that's a compliment. I really like it because it's I want to get the prize chest. I love this hand thing.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
It works in my head.
Well, guys, I think that's going to wrap our conversation on sports movies. Thanks, Trent, as always, for joining. Zachary, thanks for being a special guest today. It was an honor.
Zachary.
I appreciate
it was an honor to have you.
I have to be so bad.
It's tough, man. These podcasts take it out of you. As always, thank you for listening. You can subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe on YouTube. You can follow us at The Stinger Pod on Instagram and TikTok. And we will be back soon.